The windshield was still warm from the afternoon sun. I wiped it once, then again, as if the streaks would disappear if I pressed harder. My sleeve caught on the wiper blade. A tiny tear formed in the cuff, barely noticeable, but enough to snap me back to where I was, standing in the driveway at 5:38 p.m., holding her phone in my hand and staring at a location tag that wasn't supposed to exist. I didn't even mean to check it. That's the part that messes with me. I wasn't one of those guys. The jealous type, the tracker type, the where are you type. But something about that afternoon didn't sit right. A half-second delay in her answer. The way she said she was at Carly's for yoga and immediately followed it up with, should be back by 7, like she'd rehearsed it. So when her phone buzzed while she was in the shower, I didn't mean to look, but I did, and the location tag, it said Brooklyn Heights, not Carly's place, not even close. Her name is Rachel. We've been together for 6 years. Lived together for 4. I'm not one of those poetic guys, but if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago what my life looked like in 5 years, it still had her in it. Probably still with that chipped ceramic mug she drinks tea from every night. Still humming Fleetwood Mac while brushing her teeth. That afternoon, I got home early from a client call. I work freelance IT, servers, configurations, a bit of consulting for local businesses. It's enough to keep the lights on, and I can make my own schedule. She works in nonprofit admin, steady 9 to 5, except Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, she started Yoga with Carly 3 months ago. Funny how easy it is to accept patterns. Funny how easy it is to lie inside them. When I first unlocked her phone, and don't ask me how, I knew the code, we shared everything. I wasn't planning to snoop, just meant to silence it, but the screen was already on. Group chat, ladies and lattes. Latest message, ugh, you lucky thing. Let us know if you're staying the night. My chest tightened. Next message, you're at his place? Girl, you move fast. No name, no context, just that. And right below it, the time-stamped pin, Rachel's location, 5:26 p.m., Geralamo St. Brooklyn Heights. She wasn't at Carly's. She wasn't at yoga. She was somewhere else, with someone. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. Not yet. Because the moment you speak it, the moment you say, where were you really? Everything changes. You don't get to go back. You don't get to be the trusting boyfriend again. You become someone else. Someone who knows too much. So I played along. She came downstairs in a loose gray hoodie and her hair still damp from the shower. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, and started boiling water for her lemon tea, like always. Yoga was good? I asked. Yeah, she said too fast. Carly pushed us hard. Today, I'm sore. I nodded. She pulled 2 mugs out, her chipped ceramic one, and mine, the plain navy one I got at a work conference. She never missed small details, which is why the lie stung even more. That night, I lay in bed with her, both of us facing opposite directions. Her breathing evened out by 11:20. I watched the digital clock blink through the darkness. At 1:12, I got up and sat on the couch. Not because I couldn't sleep, because I couldn't unsee that location tag. I started tracing it back. Over the next week, I became someone I didn't recognize. I kept my phone close, started noting her routines, logging little things, exit times, returns, Carly days, and I found a pattern. Every Tuesday, between 5:15 and 7 o'clock, she was unaccounted for. Her texts were minimal, her responses clipped. I created a burner email, signed up for a free trial of a phone tracking app. I hated myself a little, but I had to know. The following Tuesday, I watched her leave at 5:06 p.m. She wore her dusty pink leggings, the ones she always said were too cute for yoga, but wore anyway. I waited 5 minutes, then followed on foot. I know how that sounds. like I was stalking, like I was spiraling. But if you've ever been lied to, truly lied to, by someone you trusted with your whole life, then you know sometimes truth doesn't knock. You have to chase it. She didn't go to Carly's. She didn't even take the subway near it. I followed from a distance, hanging back at intersections, keeping to shadows. She never looked over her shoulder. She took the F train to York Street, walked 2 blocks, entered a brownstone with blue trim. No key, just rang the buzzer. Door opened in 10 seconds. A man answered. Tall, maybe early 40s. Dark hair, rolled sleeves. Familiar, but not. She smiled wide. He leaned in and kissed her. Not a hello kiss. Not a friendly one. Not one I could excuse. Then they disappeared inside. I stood there on the sidewalk. The street smelled like garbage and spring rain. A cab honked somewhere nearby. I felt the pressure behind my eyes like a migraine waiting to bloom. My fingers curled into fists in my jacket pockets. I didn't go home. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. Didn't break anything. I just walked and walked. And when I got home at 8:21 p.m., she was already back. Sweaty hair, yoga mat propped against the wall, asking if I wanted takeout. I told her I'd eaten. She kissed me again, this time on the lips, and I let her. For the next 2 days, I couldn't eat, couldn't focus on work. I replayed it over and over. Her smile when he opened the door, the kiss, the buzz of that location pin. And I realized something. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was how easily she did it, how smooth the performance was, how little she seemed to flinch while lying to my face. Thursday evening, I drove back to that brownstone. I sat across the street, engine off, watching. People come and go. Around 6:40 p.m., he came out. Same man, button-down shirt, slacks, messenger bag. I followed him, down the block, onto the Q train, uptown. He exited at 72nd Street, walked a few blocks, entered an office labeled Feldman and Associates, Private Wealth Management. I wrote it down. I waited another hour, then followed him home. Upper West Side apartment, secure entrance, buzzed in by doorman. This wasn't some casual guy from Tinder. This man had a life, a job, a home, and Rachel was somehow part of it. Friday, I confronted Carly. Not directly. I just ran into her at the coffee shop near her office. We'd met a few times. Birthdays, brunches, double dates. Carly, I said, feigning surprise. Hey, how's yoga with Rachel? She blinked. Yoga? Yeah, the Tuesday thing you guys do. A pause. Then she smiled awkwardly. Oh, we haven't done that in a while. I've been slammed at work. I tilted my head. She still says you two go every Tuesday. Another pause. Then she looked down. I didn't know she was still saying that. Boom. Confirmation. And Carly knew. Maybe not the whole story, but enough to know there was one. That night, I didn't sleep again. My reflection in the bathroom mirror looked gaunter. My beard had a rough patch. Eyes red. I stared at myself too long and thought, am I being weak for not leaving, or strong for still standing here, trying to figure it out? I decided to confront her, but not with yelling, not with rage, with facts. I printed the map of her location ping, circled it in red ink, printed the chat, the let us know if you're staying the night line, put them in a plain envelope, left it on her pillow before heading out Saturday morning. I waited 4 hours at the park, threw breadcrumbs at pigeons. Then I got the text. Can we talk? I walked back slowly. My heart wasn't racing. It was steady. Because now she had to talk. The front door was unlocked. Not something Rachel usually did. She was a checklist person. Lock the door, turn off the stove, double-check the alarm. For her to leave the door open, That meant she was either scared, careless, or both. I stepped inside quietly. The air smelled like cinnamon, probably from the candle she used when she was nervous or trying to calm herself. The apartment was still. No music, no TV, just the faint sound of the ceiling fan ticking. She was sitting on the couch, legs curled under her, hoodie sleeves pulled over her hands. The envelope was open beside her, and she wasn't crying. She was waiting. "You left this for me," she said, holding up the printouts like they were divorce papers. I nodded. "Where did you get it?" "You left your phone unlocked, I said. The location tag came through. I didn't have to dig." Her face barely twitched. There was a pause. That kind of slow-building pause that feels like it should snap into shouting, but didn't. Then, she said something I didn't expect. "I was going to tell you." I sat down. Across from her, not next to. "When?" I asked. "Before or after the next lie?" Another pause. "Don't do that," she said, quieter now. "Don't act like this was just some master plan to hurt you." My laugh wasn't funny. It was dry and hoarse and empty. "You lied, Rachel. You made up yoga classes. You had a backup story. A whole routine." Her voice cracked on the next line. "I didn't want to lose you." That sentence, it knocked the air out of me in the worst way, because if she didn't want to lose me, why do something that guarantees it? "Then why him?" I asked. "Who even is he?" She looked down, rubbed her thumb over the seam of the pillow like she could smooth out the truth. "His name is Evan. He's someone I met through a fundraising gala last winter. He handles major donors. We only started talking after the second event. It wasn't supposed to be anything." "Wasn't supposed to be anything," I repeated. She nodded slowly. "Do you love him?" Her eyes lifted. Direct hit. I saw the flinch. "No," she said, but it came out too fast, so I asked again, softer this time. "Do you love him?" "I don't know." I stood up. That's when I realized how badly my hands were shaking. Not the kind of shaking you get when you're angry, the kind that comes from pressure under the skin, a sort of tremor that said, "This is where everything breaks." "Do you still love me?" I asked. She stood too, now face to face. "I never stopped." "Even while lying?" She nodded, shame blooming around the corners of her mouth. "That's the worst part," she said. "I felt it every time I looked at you, every time I kissed you good night. I hated myself." "You did it anyway." "I know." We stood in silence for what felt like an hour, but it was probably 30 seconds. Then I asked the real question. "What else don't I know?" She sat back down, hugged a throw pillow tight, eyes glassy now. "Do you really want the whole truth?" she asked. I didn't answer, just waited. She took a long breath, then started. It started at that second gala, the one she'd mentioned. Her organization was trying to secure a 7-figure donation. Evan was the consultant liaison. Rachel said she spent most of the night trying to get a commitment from a hedge fund exec, and Evan stepped in to help smooth it over. He was charming. Not in a slimy way, she said. He listened, asked questions, made me laugh in this low-stakes way that I hadn't felt in a while. I bit the inside of my cheek. "I didn't mean to flirt," she said, but I didn't stop it either. She admitted to coffee meetings, phone calls about donor strategy that veered off course, eventually drinks. Then one night, a kiss that turned into more. "I told myself I'd stop," she said, "that it was a mistake." "How long did it last, Utwa?" I asked. She hesitated. 3 months. My stomach twisted. I wanted to scream, punch the wall, something. But all I did was sit back down. "And the yoga thing?" I asked. Carly covered for me, sort of. She didn't know everything, just that I was seeing someone and didn't want you to know yet. Yet? Rachel looked away. I kept thinking, maybe it's a phase. Maybe it's something I had to work through. But it never got serious with him. I kept telling him I wasn't available, that I couldn't promise anything. And yet, every Tuesday, I said, you showed up. I didn't want to be there, she whispered. Not really. I just didn't want to be home either. That one cut deepest, because home was me. I got up, walked into the kitchen, filled a glass with water, and stared at the sink. The dishes were clean, stacked exactly how she liked them. That morning, I had poured her orange juice, cut her toast diagonally. We'd talked about a movie to stream on Friday. She laughed at something I said about the cat sleeping on my laptop. It was normal. How do you reconcile normal with betrayal? She came up behind me. I'm not asking you to forgive me today, she said. I just didn't want to lie anymore. Too late for that. I know. I turned around, leaned against the counter. So what now? She blinked. I don't know. I need space, I said. I figured. Not just for the afternoon, not just a walk in the park kind of space. Like space. She nodded. Her lip quivered, and for the first time, I saw the tears come. I'll go stay with my sister, she said. Just tell me what you need. Time, distance, anything. I didn't answer, because I didn't know. She packed a bag while I sat on the bed. Neither of us spoke. Just the sound of drawers opening and zippers tugging. She paused once, holding up a framed photo. The one from our trip to Asheville 2 years ago. We were both squinting in the sun, laughing over something I can't even remember. She placed it face down on the dresser. Didn't take it with her. At the door, she turned. I know this doesn't fix anything, she said. But thank you for not yelling, for not throwing me out. I didn't have to, I said. You were already leaving. Every Tuesday. She flinched. Then she was gone. That night, I didn't sleep again. I lay on my side of the bed, staring at the spot she used to occupy. The pillow still had the faint smell of her shampoo. Not enough to comfort me, just enough to hurt. At 2:47 a.m., I sat up and opened her drawer. Inside, tucked beneath a pile of scarves, was a small notebook. Not a journal. Not really. Just scraps of writing. Scribbled thoughts. I opened to the middle. One page read, I want to want him the way I used to, but I don't even know what used to means anymore. I closed it, put it back. I didn't reply to her texts the next day. Not out of spite. I just didn't have anything to say. By Sunday, I got one that said, I'm sorry. I know I said that already, but I'm sorry in 100 different ways. I stared at it, then closed the screen. I needed to be alone with the silence, with the unraveling, with the truth of being lied to for months by the person I built my future with. I needed time to figure out if there was still anything left to salvage, or if this whole thing had already burned to the ground while I was too in love to smell the smoke. It was strange, the way the apartment sounded without her. I didn't realize how many small noises Rachel made until they were gone. The muted hum of her electric toothbrush, the faint shuffle of her slippers on the hardwood floor, the occasional off-key humming when she cooked or cleaned. Now, the apartment breathed differently. Not quieter, just emptier. The silence wasn't a lack of sound. It was the presence of absence, a kind of hollowness that filled the space where trust used to live. I didn't answer her texts. Not Monday, not Tuesday, not even the one she sent on Wednesday night that simply said, I miss you, but I understand. I needed that time to think, not just about her, about me. Because when someone lies to you like that, it doesn't just break the relationship. It breaks the version of yourself that existed in it. Was I naive? Was I boring? Had I missed the signs? Or had she simply changed? I started seeing a therapist. His name was James, late 40s, soft voice, wore those patterned socks that looked like gifts from a teenage daughter. At our first session, I told him everything. The lie, the location tag, the confrontation, her walking out. I expected him to dissect it, to analyze her, make it clinical, but instead he asked me something simple. How long were you ignoring your gut? It stunned me, because the truth was, a while. Looking back, I could trace the erosion, the way she'd grown quieter around dinner, the sudden desire for space during weekends, her new password-protected notes app, the phone always face down. I told myself they were normal things, phases, stress from work, a need for independence, but in reality, I had already started losing her. I just didn't want to see it. James said something else that stuck with me. Sometimes people don't leave all at once. Sometimes they start leaving piece by piece. You just don't notice until you're standing in an empty room. On the second Thursday after she moved out, I got a letter in the mail. Yes, an actual letter. It had her handwriting on the envelope. I recognized the slight loop in her capital R instantly. Inside was a folded sheet of notebook paper. No preamble. No dear. Just this. I know texting you is unfair now. I wanted to say this without expecting an answer. I don't know how to explain what I did without sounding like I'm making excuses, and maybe there's no explanation that could matter. But I do need you to know it wasn't about him. It was about me, who I became when I didn't know how to talk to you about how I was feeling. And I hate that I only found the words after breaking everything. I miss our small things. I miss your stupid jokes. I miss how you always cracked your knuckles before typing. I know I can't fix this, but I'm sorry anyway. R. I didn't cry. I read it twice, then folded it back up and placed it in the drawer by my bed. That Saturday, I ran into Carly again. Same coffee shop. She looked tired, like someone who'd been fielding questions from both sides. She saw me, hesitated, then came over. I didn't know the whole story, she said quickly before I could say anything. I didn't know about Evan, just that she was seeing someone. She told me it was confusing, not serious. I should have said something. I didn't know what my place was. I nodded. I didn't blame her. She's hurting too, Carly added. I looked at her. Yeah, I said. So am I. Weeks passed. Rachel didn't try to come by. She didn't ask to talk. Just one message every Friday. One line. Sometimes, thinking about you. Or, hope your week went okay. Once, saw your favorite food truck by my office. Still smells like garlic. I never responded. But I never blocked her either. Because part of me still wanted those messages to come. I started trying to live again. I went back to the gym, had lunch with my brother, watched my nephew try to show me card tricks. I even went on a date, a blind one, set up by my coworker Luke. The woman, Mia, was sweet, talked fast, laughed easily. But by the end of the meal, when she asked about my past relationship, I froze. Not because I couldn't answer, because I still didn't know what the hell the story was. Mid-November, Rachel sent a different kind of message. Would it be okay if I stopped by to get the rest of my things? I can come when you're not home. I stared at it for a long time. Then, without overthinking, I replied, I'll be here. It's okay. She came the next day, wearing a long coat, hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, just emotionally. She stepped inside carefully, like the walls might shatter. Hi, she said. Hey. She didn't move right away, just stood near the door, holding a canvas tote. I won't take long. I nodded and pointed toward the hallway. She moved quietly, collected things one at a time, a scarf, a book. some earrings, a shoebox she had tucked under the bed. No conversation. Until she stopped at the bookshelf and ran her finger along the spine of a paperback we both loved, The Ocean at the End of the Lane. She turned to me. I always thought this one was ours. It still is, Vas, I said. You can take it. She shook her head. You keep it. Maybe someday I'll reread it and not cry. As she zipped up her bag, she turned back toward me. I'm not here to make a case, she said. I just didn't want to disappear without saying goodbye. And thank you for not turning everything into a war. I was too tired for war. She smiled faintly. That's fair. Then she asked, Are you okay? It was a weird question considering the circumstances, but I understood why she asked it. I paused, getting there. She nodded, looked down, took one step toward the door, then stopped. There was never a plan to leave you, she said. It just happened. That's the part I hate most. Me too. Then she left. I stood there in the quiet again. The click of the door lock felt final this time, but not like a death, more like the end of a long, painful chapter. A few days later, I received another letter, handwritten again, but this one was shorter. Just one line. You deserved the truth the first time. I'm sorry it came too late. I didn't write back, but I didn't throw it away either. The problem with healing is that nobody tells you how quiet it is. You expect some dramatic moment where you feel lighter, a sunrise, a breath, a voice in your head saying, you made it. But the truth? It's just Tuesday morning. Your coffee tastes the same. The hallway smells like dust. And one day, you realize you haven't thought about her since breakfast, and it feels like cheating. That's when I knew I was getting better. Not fixed, not over it, just better. It was late January by then, cold enough that the windows fogged in the morning. I had started a new contract with a logistics company in Queens. Data migration, server architecture, boring stuff that kept me busy. The routine helped. Wake up, shower, take the train, stare at code, come home, eat, sleep. I still had her mug in the cupboard, the chipped ceramic one. Every now and then I used it, not because I missed her, because it was a good size for soup. That's the kind of memory healing leaves behind. Practical ghosts. Then one day, Evan showed up. Not in person, not at my door, but in my inbox. Subject line, a quiet apology. It came from a personal Gmail account, no last name. But the first line confirmed it. You don't know me directly, but I think we're long overdue for honesty. I almost deleted it. Almost. But curiosity is a stubborn thing. So I kept reading. Evan's email was short, measured. The kind of message you could tell had been rewritten 20 times before it was sent. Rachel told me she confessed everything. I stayed quiet after she left, thinking it wasn't my place. But silence can be cowardice. So this is me owning my part. I didn't know about you at first. She never mentioned you until a few weeks in. By then, I'd already convinced myself I could be the better option. The escape hatch, so to speak. That was unfair to you, and to her. What we had wasn't real. It was built on loneliness, on gaps in your relationship that weren't mine to exploit. I didn't win. You didn't lose. She didn't choose. We all broke something. I'm sorry. No signature, no phone number, just that. I stared at the screen for a while, not because I was angry, but because I wasn't. And that surprised me. I saved the email, didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. A few weeks later, Carly texted, "Brunch this Sunday? I'm dragging your hermit self out." I agreed. It wasn't about her. It was about letting the world back in. We met at a little spot near Prospect Park. She hugged me tight when I walked in. "You look like a man who owns curtains now," she said, smirking. "I do. Grown-up ones.
with patterns. She laughed. We talked about books, work, her new dog, everything but Rachel, until the mimosas kicked in. You know, she said, stirring her drink, I think she really did love you. I didn't flinch. I believe that, I said. But love doesn't excuse betrayal. No, it doesn't, she agreed. But it explains why she stayed confused for so long. She didn't want to pick. She wanted both versions of herself. I know that now. Carly looked at me carefully. You okay? Yeah, I said. Not perfect, but okay. Then I added something that surprised even me. She wasn't the villain, and I wasn't the hero. We were just people, screwing it up, trying to make it mean something. That night, I went through the last of her stuff. There wasn't much, just a scarf, an old notebook, and a USB drive she must have left behind by mistake. Out of habit, I plugged it in. Inside was a single folder, 2023 fundraiser photos. I clicked through the thumbnails, dozens of pictures from galas and events, Rachel in formal dresses, smiling, toasting champagne, arm in arm with colleagues, and then one photo that made my breath catch. It was me. Rachel had taken it without me knowing. I was sitting on our couch, bent over a book, brow furrowed. The file name was Home, Even When He's Quiet. I stared at that image for a long time. Then I copied it to my desktop and ejected the drive. Weeks turned into months. By April, I started seeing someone new. Her name was Eliza. Graphic designer. Smart. Kind. Laughed at my bad puns. On our third date, I told her everything. Not the dramatic version, just the honest one. My last relationship ended because she was unfaithful, I said. Eliza tilted her head. Did she regret it? I nodded. I think so. Did you? No, I just regret not seeing it sooner. One Sunday, as I was cleaning
Out old email drafts, I found a half-written reply to Rachel. Just one sentence. I miss who we were before you stopped telling the truth. I deleted it. Not out of anger, not out of peace, but because it didn't matter anymore. I never heard from Rachel again after that last letter. She disappeared from my life with the kind of finality that doesn't announce itself. No dramatic send-off, just silence, the kind that hurts less over time. Now, when I walk past Brooklyn Heights, I don't flinch. I don't check my phone. I don't imagine her behind one of those windows. I think about what James said. Some people leave piece by piece, but that means you get to rebuild piece by piece too. And I have. One Tuesday at a time. There's this quote I read once. I think it was in some random book at an airport kiosk. Closure doesn't come when you get all the answers. It comes when the questions stop mattering. I didn't believe that at the time. I thought closure had to be loud, final, a reckoning, a conversation with doors slammed and truths hurled like stones. But here's what I've learned. Closure is quiet. It's not an explosion. It's an exhale. And sometimes it takes a year to get there. Eliza and I didn't work out. Not because of Rachel, not because of baggage, just life. She got a job offer in Chicago. I wasn't in a place to do long distance again. We split with mutual respect and some quiet sadness. She told me I'd been the most emotionally honest man she'd dated in a long time. That meant something. It meant I wasn't broken. Not anymore. Summer rolled in, humid and slow. The city buzzed with that restless energy that only comes when everyone's pretending the heat doesn't make them miserable. One Friday, I found myself walking past the old park Rachel and I used to visit. The one with the lopsided bench and the creaky swing set. I sat down, watched a kid try to teach his little sister how to dribble a basketball. She kept chasing it across the sidewalk. laughing like the game was the whole world. Behind me, someone said my name. I turned. Rachel. She looked different, not unrecognizable, just grounded, hair shorter, wearing jeans and a plain white tee, no makeup, a small canvas tote slung over her shoulder. We stood there for a second, both unsure. Then she smiled. Not the old smile, but something softer, cautious. "Hey," she said. "Hey. I didn't think I'd run into you." "Yeah," I said, standing. "Me neither." She nodded toward the bench. "Can I sit?" I hesitated, then motioned for her to join me. She lowered herself slowly, careful not to sit too close. For a minute, we just watched the kids play. Then she said, "You look well." "You too." More silence. Then, "I never wrote again. After that last letter." "I know." "I thought about it," she added, "but I didn't want to intrude on your healing." "That was probably smart." She nodded. I want you to know I'm okay. I started therapy, switched departments, even started painting again." I smiled faintly. "That's good." Another beat. Then she looked at me directly. "I'm not here to restart anything or ask for forgiveness. I know that ship sailed. I just wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For not retaliating, for not turning me into a villain to your friends, for letting me leave with dignity, even though I didn't deserve it." I shook my head slowly. "You did hurt me," I said, "deeply, but I also loved you. And I don't think that kind of love just vanishes. It changes. It burns itself down. But it doesn't disappear." She blinked back something. "I didn't know how to protect that love. Not the way you did." "Yeah," I said. "And I didn't know how to ask if something was wrong. I just assumed we were fine." Rachel looked at her hands. "I used to think love meant never doubting each other. Now I think it means being willing to ask the hard questions." I nodded. "That's something I'll take with me too." She stood after a few minutes. "I should go," she said. "I have a class in 20 minutes." I raised an eyebrow. "Still painting?" "No," she said with a smirk. "Pottery. I make really ugly mugs now." I laughed. "I still have your old chipped one." She looked genuinely surprised. "You do?" "Yeah. It's good for soup." Her smile trembled a little. "I'm glad you're okay." "I am," I said. "Are you?" "I'm getting there," she said, "piece by piece." Then she did something unexpected. She held out her hand, not for a hug, not for comfort, just a simple handshake. I took it. Her grip was warm, firm, real, and then she walked away. I sat back down, watched the sun shift behind the clouds. The breeze picked up slightly, rustling the trees, and I realized I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I was just here, present, alive, whole. That night I opened my laptop and finally deleted the folder with the location tag screenshots, the chat logs, the photos, all of it. Not because I wanted to forget, but because I didn't need them anymore. They were part of a story I had already finished reading. Now, when people ask if I've ever been betrayed, I say yes. But I don't say it with bitterness. I say it with understanding. Because betrayal taught me how much I was capable of surviving, and healing taught me how much I was capable of becoming. If you've ever found a truth you didn't ask for, if you've ever felt your heart drop when the location tag didn't match the story, if you've ever had to rebuild from pieces someone else left behind, just know this: you're not alone. You'll heal. And one day, you'll look back at the worst chapter of your life, Kian, and realize it didn't end you. It rewrote you for the better. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.